Very good afternoon to all of you and warm welcome to our webinar series, Apprenticeship Dialogue, where today we'll be discussing about simplifying degree apprenticeship. Teamlease degree apprenticeship embedded with a formal education through an online, on-site and on-campus execution model will actually change the landscape of India's not only apprenticeship ecosystem, the higher education ecosystem also. Teamlease degree apprenticeship will actually address one of the largest concern for us as an organization today is creating the supply chain. It will also help us in reducing the training cost, the hiring cost, and the attrition cost. Teamlease degree apprenticeship will also take care of the productivity aspect. When a student come up from a college, he may have a formal education, but in terms of the skill which is required for him to become productive in workplace is something which is always a concern for India. Teamlease degree apprenticeship will also become a viable option for kids coming up from schools to take up degree apprenticeship as one of the career options going forward. The National Education Policy, which came in 2020, actually touch upon the credit linkage to the skill. Keeping in mind the larger framework of the National Education Policy, the credit linkage, Teamlease degree apprenticeship actually decided to work with the ministry, and we came up with degree apprenticeship curriculums across different sectors, which is from retail, logistics, automotive, and consumer durables. Today, we actually are going out all out in terms of educating the industry about degree apprenticeship. To discuss the same today, we have with us three eminent industry leaders who have been able to successfully implement degree apprenticeship, or you can say the apprenticeship, the regular apprenticeship in the organizations. To discuss the same today, we have with us Dr. Sanjeev Chauhan, who is the Director HR for Pepe India. Dr. Chauhan, warm welcome to you for this discussion.
Thank you.
Then we have Ms. Nandini Mehta, who is the CHRO of Metro Benz Limited. A warm welcome to you, Ms. Nandini Mehta.
Thank you so much.
Then we have with us Ina Pathak. Ms. Ina Pathak is Head HR for Jivo Wellness. A warm welcome to you, Ms. Pathak.
Thank you. Pleasure.
So how we're going to have the discussion is that we're going to touch upon the regular apprenticeship, which is there at this point of time, and take your thought why you started apprenticeship and what are your outcomes, which you have seen in last so many years. And then we touch upon the larger aspect, which is degree apprenticeship, and we take up any questions from the audience. So we'd like to start a discussion with Dr. Sanjeev. Dr. Sanjeev, you have been implementing apprenticeship throughout so many years now in your organizations, the present and previous organization also. So if you can let us know what prompted you to take apprentices and why you keep on hiring apprentices for your different job roles. Over to you, Sanjeev.
Thank you. Thank you, Dhriti. First of all, thank you very much for giving an opportunity to share my views on apprenticeship. Apprenticeship has been always very close to my heart, where it actually, became a very touch point for me when I think one of the person from the Teamlease itself initially came to me in 2016 and told that we have a program which will, generate employability, make the people employable in the retail industry. So I like that word, to make the people employable. That was an important aspect as an HR. So I wanted to understand that. In 2016, I think I understood that because my background being out of legal, so I could understand much better the notifications and the laws which are pertaining to the apprentice. I did a very deep dive into this because it was introductory in 2016. When I thought this, when apprentice, I understood well, and I took that proposal, and I was working then with Killer. I went to my chairman and told this proposal, sir, this one scheme has come. So can we do this? He took that paper and threw that out on my face and saying, yeah, you are doing something which is non-compliant. No PF, no SI, what kind of apprenticeship it is? So I said, no, sir, it's not. I have studied this. And to be very frank, I convinced my CFO, I convinced my statutory auditor, I convinced my board of directors, and they really appreciated. And today, as on Killer, even after 5 to 7 years, the apprenticeship program is running well there. So what I mean to say here is that a lot of organizations actually do not know that apprentice is an essence to be done. If you see, Every organization which has more than 30 people of the people are deployed, they have to deploy apprentice from 2.5% to 15%. 2.5 is minimum. But most of the employers do not know this. Do not know this. They keep on deploying here. Apprenticeship is a kind of an stopgap arrangement for saying something like it's a cheap labor, or it is a manual work, or a low pages work, or a alternative education for the students who are not at work, or a basically an alternative arrangement for the temp staffing. But it is not. Some of the CHROs also think that apprenticeship and the internships are all similar. What I say that apprenticeship and internships are not similar. They may be equally plighted. We are developing the pipelines of the people because they are ready to work for the non-specialized work which are required to be done. But going forward, there is a lot of difference because the apprentices is a school mode, what you call a curriculum, college curriculum. But in case of apprentice, you are building the talent pipeline for the organizations, and that is only the reason that apprentice holds much better, higher, in terms of internships. It is better than internships. When we talk about this, they also came to a consensus because I knew a lot of esteemed people are listening to me. When I brought this concept, a lot of CFOs, my counterparts, that once you want to go for an internship and bring in benefit on the terms of the PFESIs and making more employable people, but why don't we deploy the people on our role and we can take the benefit of 80 AAA, right? Where you get the benefit. When you take this, I'm talking particularly about the retail industry, you don't get the benefit of 80 AAA. Why? Because you are the employees who come in the retail industries, the attrition rate is somewhere around, I think Nandini will understand better. She has worked with me, he works in the retail. So the attrition rate, is minimum I have seen in my company 30 to 50% attrition rate. So you will not get that benefit of 80 AAA. That's why I sold, and I understand this is what the requirement is. Now, when we come to this, there is one of the things which I experienced. NAPS came, 1-year program, NEEM came, their program is there. But I could find that there is no interrelation between these two, right? So it was, top up. You are running an apprentice program and you are doing good. You find NEEM also coming in. Now what you find is that basically a lot of, confusion was there. Which is better? NAP is better, NEEM is better. NAP is always better because it gives you reimbursement. NEEM is not better, but it is better than temp staffing because it gives you a kind of a statutory rebate. But no, you see these two NAPs and NEEMs, they comes under the different, the statutory authorities. And what I experience in my what you call the career is that these do not talk to each other, and there is a lot of gray areas. Particularly because everybody knows what NAPs, NEEMs are. I'm just explaining my experience on this. So when you talk about NEEM, in NEEM there is no ultra limit defined in the notification. How much percentage? In NAPs it is defined. You can say 2.5 to 15, but if you are routing through TPA, it can be 18%. In case of Maharashtra, I think it is 25%. Now government wants to make it more across. They're thinking to make it raise the limit of the NAP ceiling. That is under discussion. What I came to know. But in NEEM there is no justification, no kind of the ceiling defined in the notification. So industrial benchmarks, some people say 20, some people say 25. I as a professional say 30. I think it's the better limit. So nothing is defined. One. Second is when they are not talking to each other that way. And certainly, in the early of this year, we got a notification from EPFO that basically PF will apply on the NEEM apprentices. So these all process coming in are basically, guiding us to the right manner that the degree apprentice program, which has come in, I feel that basically this is much better than NEEM, right? In terms of, though it has got a limitation in terms of deployment, but it has more, impact on the industry in terms of, the longevity, in terms of building pipeline, because you cannot make the pipeline in 1 year. It takes at least needs some time. Certainly, it has got a very good, the theme behind it. They are the people, they want to make them graduate and ensure that they come up, give the exams and they become a good talent pool in the next 3 years. But I certainly feel that basically career planning for NAPS in a structured manner can be a challenge for us. But certainly, I think the 1-year program and 3-year programs are going to stay. I don't know, government notification has not come. That is my presumption. But my experience with the NEEM has been very good. And to be very frank, Nandini knows in all industry, in all retail, I keep on telling all CHROs that please try NEEMs and NAPs, not only because it gives a statutory compliance, certainly it gives employability to the people. So my take is that I had a very good experience in terms of NEEMs and NAPs, and I am the brand ambassador for the NEEMs and NAPs apprentice program, but provided it is not been misused by any employer.
Correct. So I think that the outcome which you have seen by deploying apprentices, basically you have been able to create the supply chain, and plus you're able to have a retention also, right? Great. So I'll take up this question with Ms. Nandini Mehta also. So Ms. Nandini, what prompted you to hire apprentices in your organization? You work with lifestyle, right? Where you had apprentices, now you work with Metro Brands heading the HR. So what prompted you to hire apprentices and keep hiring apprentices? What are the outcomes which you have seen?
Thank you very much for inviting me over. And I think Sanjeev has very well summed up the whole program, but I'll just add my experience to this. So similar to Sanjeev, we started this whole activity around 2016, and I think Teamlease prompted us to start this, if I was to say that, because we used to work with Teamlease earlier as well. And when you all got this whole program under your wing is when we started working with you all on, so we did a pilot in our Max stores, and that's how we started off. So the idea of getting NEEMs and NAPs into the system was basically, like Sanjeev said, the front end attrition is really high. When we take the base level, entry level staff, it is almost 70%, while overall it is around 30-35%, but the entry level staff is about 70% attrition. So normally it's very difficult for us to get people on board, get entry level staff on board. And I think NEEM and NAPs provided us that platform where we could get staff at entry level, and we could kind of enroll them into our system, help them to get trained on the job while they're also getting it, especially NEEMs, while they're also getting educated at the same time. And it kind of helped us also to, so at end of the period, we also were able to pick the really good employees and get them into on roles, right? So I think that was really helpful, and we've had people growing with us from the NEEM and NAPS program. I think that has been very beneficial. So after we did the pilot for about, I guess, 6 months, then we said, no, now we need to launch this across. And then we did it in across regions and Max. We extended it to lifestyle, we extended to home center, city Max, so all our easy buy, so all our formats is where we implemented NEEM and NAPs. And I am proud to say that we did the same thing even in Metro Brands, doing successfully well there. So in Metro, the concept is very different. We have employees who do join us on a commission model, which we thought may lead to issues if we hire them on commission because of compliances and all that. So that's when we thought it is good to introduce NEEM and NAPs and hire everybody on NEEM and NAPs before we move them into our roles, right? So that's how we introduced it in Metro Brands. So it's worked really well for us. We are hoping to grow the numbers in Metro as well. Landmark still continues to hire people on NEEM and NAPs. So I won't say there is a challenge in either of the programs. Both have their pros and cons, of course, but both are working well for us. Biggest advantages, especially with NAPs, is that we can use a part of our CSR funds. Absolutely. So I think that's very big for us. We did that in Landmark. We used a part of our CSR funds for the NAPS program. In fact, we did it for NEEMs as well, and we are doing it even in Metro Branch. So I think that's a big advantage. Of course, there is this this one about ESI CPF not being required to pay, not to be paid. But the challenge would be then, the Neiman Naps employees compare themselves to the payroll employees. So we try and see that how we can at least match the base pay, so there is no large disparity between the two. So that's what we've done in Metro Brands, where we've tried to bring parity in terms of their take home in some way, right? So these are some things that we've done to make it even more successful, and it's working really well. And I should say that in India, I don't think anyone is doing this better than Teamlease. So I'm actually really glad that we are partnering with you all to take this forward.
So if we can sum up, I think the CSR is one of the aspects by which you have been able to get the CSR funds correlate with the apprenticeship program. Plus, I think the informal employment, you can say, move to a formal kind of a training model where people are getting commissions. They move to a training model where they get upskilling and skilling, and then they move to a formal employment in a couple of years, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great to hear this. Then I'll take up the same question in Pathak. So what prompted you to hire apprentices in organization?
Nandini more or less has already covered up everything what I had to say, because see, even with us in Jivo, what we do, it's again a retail brand. So what we do, we have put this scheme, we hire apprentice under NAPS. We have not implemented NEEMS yet. So we are under NAPS for around, it is our fourth quarter. So it's our fourth quarter. And we have applied this on our entry level, on the sales staff. So what happens is they continuously fill the gap which gets created because of attrition there. So, we are hiring people, we are hiring apprentices, and on the job they are being trained parallelly with the people who are already on board. Yes, that gap is definitely there, but then, that gap of being on the payroll and being on NAPS, that's definitely there. But then how we manage it is by giving them a track of a training, which anyways the apprentice is. And after that, their appraisal and their promotion is, the review of, we review them every quarter. So every review, then accordingly, they are being shifted to the payrolls of the company. And yes, the benefits that NAPS has to offer in terms of the reimbursements and the entire scheme, and on the job training, the BTP program that it has to offer, everything gels up very well. Especially, I would say it's an excellent fit for retail.
Great. So you're talking about you help. I think the apprenticeship is really helping you in terms of taking care of the attrition part of it, and I'm sure you have given a career path. Somebody joining as an apprentice, what he can be after 1 year's time once he completes the training program.
And earlier what we used to do, we used to hire freshers for this job. But now what we have is, we have in the same pay scale, we already have trained employees coming in. So those people have already worked for a good period of say 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and then they have been promoted there. So we know that they will perform.
So it's creating a supply chain for you guys.
Of course.
It's a future supply chain. Great to hear this, the output of why you're hiring apprentices and how you look forward for. So I'll go back to Dr. Sanjeev. Dr. Sanjeev, what is your take on in terms of attrition in the apprentices? You say retail is a huge attrition, right? This is one of the problems which every retailer faces today. So do you think by hiring apprentices, your attrition level has to reduce to some extent?
Yeah, you put a very good question, which is close to my heart. See, the challenge in retail industry, with Nandini already supported me saying that the attrition rate is there. But one thing I'll also tell the audience that attrition hampers your reimbursements, right? So I will tell you that if presently we have almost 600 apprentice trainees with us. But in terms of the reimbursement which comes to us, it comes hardly to 1/4, right? Why? Because the requirement of the basically the government is that the person should have served the whole quarter, right? If that quarter he has left that quarter, then you don't get the reimbursement for him for that particular period. So attrition, how to control this attrition, it's always a challenge for HR. But what we think is that when this 3-year degree program which is coming in, this can be of a great support. Why? Because we can allure them by saying that basically if you enter in this program, then you will get a graduation program and your degree program, We can have a very structured training with them, and even we can think of basically taking them on our role if the performance sounds good. But again, the challenge comes in that if I take 100 people in the degree program, how many people will pass out? Ravi. So I don't think so. It will be more than 20%. Correct me. This is my personal opinion.
But Dr. Sanjeev, I think the degree apprenticeship today is going to help the gross enrollment ratio, which is very poor in India, right? At least that part increases. Then we look about the net enrollment ratio, where talk of people clearing the examinations, right? I agree with you. I think degree apprenticeship is the way forward for organization like yours, where we have a huge attrition, where it can be a stickiness for the apprentices. They stay with you, you sponsor the education, and then they become a graduate and become part of your formal education, right? So what is your any challenges you foresee in terms of implementing degree apprenticeship? One is definitely, you say, people, how will people clear the examinations, but that is more of like a thought process. But you see any challenge, practical challenges which you see?
Very honestly, I'll tell you. See, after this pandemic, I have started feeling that the people who are coming for the employment in retail, let it be a fresher or the people who are already working in retail, they have started feeling that the social, legislations benefits are also more important for them. So when they come, we have to tell them that this is the apprentice program. They ask us, sir, हमको PF ESI मिलेगा कि नहीं मिलेगा, bonus मिलेगा कि नहीं मिलेगा. To be very honest with you, but gradually for them at that level, even the enhanced salary also matters, right? So that is what the reason that we say that your enhanced salary will be higher when you come to us on an apprentice program. If you come on a temp source purchasing, your enhanced salary may be differing in that. So that is one challenge I feel, that basically in degree program, very honestly, that basically going forward, the way the people awareness that they are getting in terms of PF and ESIs, to bringing them on apprentice program will be not be a challenge, but certainly we need to convince them in the right direction. Second is that basically today most of the employers still feels that NAPS or apprentice trade program is an alternative of temp staffing. I say no, it should not be the same. It is not, the apprenticeship is not an alternative to the temp staffing. See, you people, temp staffing is a different ball game, and basically apprentice is a different ball game. So you have to have a very judicious mix of these people. Let it be an apprentice, be on roll. You should have a right career path. So to control this attrition, I said that what Nandini rightly said, that basically if you have a good career progression, that is always good. Now also comes a question that basically switching amongst the apprentice programs, right? People say people can be shifting from NAPS to NEEM. Some say no, not from NAPS to NEEM, NEEMs to NAP, it is possible. Vice versa, it is possible. So there are a lot of permutation and combination. So our concern is that particularly if you are taking person on an apprenticeship, after apprenticeship, there has to be some career progression for them. You should not transfer them to another apprenticeship program. It should be on the temporary staffing or on the roll, whatever it is.
The real spirit of doing apprenticeship is that you make them employable, right? It cannot be like keep on putting them in some skilling program. I think I really appreciate your thought process on this, Dr. Sanjeev. So I'll take up this question to Ina Pathak. She has been doing apprenticeship, the regular apprenticeship part of it, I think for almost a year now. What is your thought on degree apprenticeship? Does it fit into your requirement? Do you feel this will help in terms of taking care of your supply chain crisis or attrition crisis?
See, what happens is we have to understand one more thing, especially in retail sector. It is not just that, the attrition level is not just limited to employee leaving the employer. It is a lot to do with their performance as well, because employer also has a lot of expectation with employees. So, at a lot of level, even with apprentice to an extent, we have set our targets. We have given them their KRAs as well to meet. So degree apprenticeship in a way could be good and beneficial only in terms of those and for those employees who are good performers. But at times it might just become a liability on the employer's head. I mean, it's my personal take on it, because, if I would not want to continue with an employee because of his attitude, discipline, poor performance, etc., it might just stand on my head as a liability, because, I have enrolled him in the degree apprenticeship, thinking that, my attrition rate will be taken care of and I cannot ask him to leave or XYZ reason, but then that should just not turn back on my face.
Right. So I think what you're trying to figure out put it forward here is that people who actually want to do degree apprenticeship, it should not be everybody is taken for a degree apprenticeship curriculum or a
Thinking
program.
that yeah.
People who are aspiring to become a degree apprenticeship graduate, I think the fitment is very important. The counseling is very important. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. I'll take up this question with Nandini Mehta. You have so many years of experience in retail and other sectors. So do you think embedding the degree with OGT, the apprenticeship, will help to address a larger concern which you all have, right? I'm sure across not only specific to retail, across any industry. Today I talk about manufacturing also. The attrition part of it, the training part of it, right? The cost of training, the cost of even for hiring is increasing day by day, and we all are talking about productivity, enhancing the productivity from a person at workplace. Do you think degree apprenticeship will fit into any of or maybe a couple of this concerns which industry has? Mute. Yeah.
Sorry. So I think again, Sanjeev and Ina have highlighted quite a lot of quite some of the key issues that would come up. Just want to add that this degree apprenticeship is a model which has been I won't say tried as an apprentice program, but there have been organizations that have done this degree for the front end. So in fact, we had, I wouldn't want to mention, but we did have a program for the front end where it was a 3-year degree program. And what happens is, like Ina said, that they, if they don't perform well, we have a challenge holding on to them. Second is that they sometimes are not patient enough to wait for 3 years, work with one organization for 3 years and complete their degree. So I think that's a second challenge. Third is retail for the entry level is not an employment by choice. It is, I don't have anything else, so this is the only job that I'm getting, so let me join, right? And a lot of them join because they either are not interested in studying or do not have the wherewithal to study because of family circumstances and all that. So they come with that kind of a background where studies are not important to them. So the biggest challenge that that Teamlease would face in introducing a degree apprenticeship is to enroll people from that economic group of people into the program. So I think the first challenge would be there, even before it comes to a challenge for us in terms of hiring them. Right, so I see that as a bigger issue for you all. For us, the challenge, like Ina said, will we be able to keep them for 3 years? And my thing is, will they stay on for 3 years to complete the degree? Yeah. But having said that, in case these challenges are overcome, for whoever number of people, let's say we hire 100 and we have about 60 where this issue is not so much. What becomes very important for us to do as employers is to ensure that we define a clear career path, like I mentioned earlier also, where we say, okay, if you complete the first year, so while they get a certification or whatever, but from our side, if there is something that we could do for them, right? So when you complete 3 years, if you perform well, of course, like Ina said, we do have KRAs for them as well. So if you perform well and you complete your 3 years, we will take you to this level, right? And for that, we may have to do some internal activities, some internal trainings for them so that we're able to help them do. So I think it has to be a partnership between the employers and the organization that is going to introduce, that's in this case Teamlease, that's going to introduce a 3-year degree apprenticeship. So I think if that happens, then there is definitely a lot of traction and there is a possibility of this being a successful model. I'm not saying that it will not be successful, but the challenges will be quite a bit. So if we are able to overcome those challenges and obstacles, I'm sure it's going to work well.
But what we feel as a Teamlease, as one of the you can say organizations which actually believe in embedding degree with apprenticeship, is that this will help in creating the supply chain. That today we have a lot of issues in creating the supply chain, right? Getting even mobilization part of it. So today we talk about people who are deprived of like getting education, tier 3, tier 4 cities. What we believe that degree apprenticeship can be successful if a person, someone in Delhi, take up degree. It should be an option for them. A school kid coming out of passing 12, if he can choose degree apprenticeship instead of doing a BBA or a BCom, I think that is where we all need to partner ourselves in creating that particular case studies for coming generations, where we talk about, okay, why degree apprenticeship is another viable option as a career. I think that is where I think we should be
Definitely,
able to.
yeah. And just to add to what you're saying, also becomes very see, retail is a very physically taxing job. Retail front end, especially our store, the store workers, it's a very taxing job, especially in especially now, with the cost of manpower going up, we are all kind of looking at how do we be more productive, right? So there is a lot of physical work that they have to do, and they're working 8 to 10 hours a day, and it becomes really stretched for them. They travel from a distance, they travel by buses, trains, so it's not a very easy life that they have. So also becomes important for us to provide them with that, I would say, the time and space to also spend in learning, right? So I think that becomes very important. So like you rightly said, we can get candidates from the tier 3, tier 2 markets, where they don't have the wherewithal to do their graduation after 12. They have to earn. So you all provide that, and then we provide them employability. So I think it definitely would work. But like I said, the other challenges are more of attrition, them not losing interest after some time. The work itself is so much that they don't get time to focus on anything else. So those would be some of the challenges, is what I feel. But otherwise, I think it would be a successful.
Yeah, I think together as an industry and as a university, I think we should take it up strongly with the people. And I think organization like yours, if you start taking up, I think that will be a case study for other organizations, right?
Absolutely.
So I'll go to Dr. Sanjeev. Dr. Sanjeev, we all talk about apprentice. You're going to correlate with productivity as per guidelines and all those things, which I don't agree, right? If you're an apprentice, you need to be productive, whatever, even if doing a training also. So what is the thought of correlating productivity with apprenticeship? Because when I go and meet ministry people and also, okay, apprentices cannot be unproductive, they are doing training, but until they are productive, they cannot be employable. You need to judge their productivity at in regular intervals. So what is your thought on productivity with apprenticeship?
Yeah. See, recently, I think last 2 months back, I met Ritu, right, from Teamlease. So she is a co-founder. So she came to me, us, and we were just talking. So I just asked her about the degree program. Ritu, what is different about this 1 year and 3 year degree program? She said one thing, Doctor, this degree programs, we are here to bring productivity. This word, impressed me a lot. I asked her how you are going to bring in productivity. It's a good, jargon or a kind of a good catchy word, but basically it is also every organization wants in productivity. But how this productivity will be built in through this degree program? She shared some inputs to me, and which I personally foresee that going forward, the productivity will be very important. When the productivity will come, the attrition rate will automatically go down, right? So that's what I feel. Coming to, in terms of the productivity bandwidth which Teamlease can deliver, I feel Teamlease today is one of the biggest apprentice program runner in the country. And the expertise of Sabharwal, who has been known to be a crusader of these apprenticeship programs. I have also understood that Teamlease has a bandwidth of having the degree program run very successfully, because they have their own university called as Teamlease Skills University, which is very much structured. So I feel that the productivity will come, but it has to be done in a very structured manner, provided we have a good training modules through which we can do. Certainly the courses what the employees, the trainees, apprentices are going to choose, those programs will be having an impact on the productivity or not, that has to be linked. Thirdly, that the supervisor who is basically training those people on the floor, how much productivity he can derive, that depends on his skill to get that productivity out of him. So I think going forward, I'll not say it will be purely more productive, but certainly up to some extent, yes, productivity will come in by 3-year degree program. That is my thought on this.
Great to hear about your opinion on the productivity part of it for degree apprenticeship. So I'll again go back to Nandini Mehta. One thought which I have. With respect to gender diversity, right? If you can throw some light with respect to, you have a lot of apprentices today, almost 500 to 600 apprentices. What is a ratio of the gender diversity? How many female apprentices you have? How many male? What's the gender diversity ratio in your organization with respect to apprentices?
I just wanted to add first to the productivity piece before I take the gender diversity question, if you don't mind. So I think the degree apprentice program that you were talking about is also related to industry specific training that would be included, right? So I think productivity from that. So today when we hire apprentices, they don't know retail. And if your degree program is going to provide them with some basic understanding of retail, customer service, selling, all of that. So when they join us, there is already some base that is available. And I think that is where it becomes more productive for us as an organization. So that's how I would look at connecting productivity to the degree program. Yeah, so just wanted to highlight that. Coming back to the diversity piece. So I will talk about Landmark here in this particular case first before I move to Metro, because Metro's model is slightly different. So in Landmark, we I think had about 20-25% of the apprentices as women, and the rest were men. In Metro, our model itself is such that our stores do not have more than, the biggest store would have probably up to 12 employees, including our store manager. So it's very difficult for us to hire too many women there, because you have shifts and then you have weekly offs, and plus, it's a very labor intensive job. We have a Malia, a stock room, basically, where there are people who are all the time working with stock, and then you have just 2 or 3 people on the floor. So we don't have too many female employees in our stores, while we do have them in our corporate office, but not so much in our stores. So if you were to ask me what is the gender ratio, I don't think I'll be able to do justice to that question, because we hire mostly men in our stores. Yeah.
Because of the nature of the job role.
Because of the nature of the job. Yeah.
Okay. I think
the nature of the job, it's more to do with the number of people we have. We already have very less. And then right, we're supposed to let go of female employees by 8 p.m. And then, that 1 or 2 staff would reduce. So there would be hardly 1 person in the store, which is our peak, customer time. So it becomes very difficult for us to manage. Hence, we do not otherwise also hire many female employees. Yeah.
So with respect to your questions, or you can say your input respect to the specific degrees. So if I talk about today, the curriculums which we have created is basically industry specific. So we have a curriculum which is BBA retail, which include from customer service to everything. So I think that is how we have created industry-wise curriculums which can fit into your requirement.
Exactly. So that's definitely going to help, because then the person comes with some understanding, right? So there is we all learn, we all do that, right? We have a concept or a theory that we know, and then we try to apply that at work. Well, of course, theory is never directly, practically it's never completely, utilized, but at least, the concepts are there. They understand how to attend to a customer, how to do an upselling or a cross-selling, how to talk to their colleagues, how to talk to customers. So they do understand how do you manage the stock or the inventory. So all that will get covered, and hence it will help us, because then we as employers may not have to spend that much of time in getting the person to start becoming productive. So I think it helps that.
Correct. Great. So I'll take up.
Sorry. So one more just to add, while I said that diversity is a challenge, we are as an organization looking at how do we at least have one female employee per store, especially in the mall stores, because in standalone in the high street stores we have an issue because of washrooms and all of that. But we are looking at how do we have at least one female employee in each of our mall stores. So now, we are taking that up as a target and we're going to start working on that. So hopefully our female apprentices would also increase by numbers. Yeah.
Because we have done a survey sometime back, a year back, where you found female apprentices are more productive. When I talk the productive part of it, the retention is more, the attendance they are very regular. So that is the thought process, and I think we all should take up this particular piece where we can have more female apprentices, where is regular degree apprenticeship.
Yes, definitely.
So I'll take up this question with Ina Pathak. What's your gender diversity with respect to apprentices?
In our case, it's 60-40, 60% female, 40% male.
And how do you rate with respect to productivity of female apprentices? They're
so it's almost similar. See, I would not go gender bias in terms of productivity, because I personally very strongly feel that, an individual productivity is self-driven, is driven by, your background, your motivational level, your attitude, and your skill set. So yes, the gender ratio is 60-40, and productivity, we ensure that even all our apprentices, after a couple of months of training, are being put into a scanner where we ensure that they are productive for us. And even the team works on them. There are specific supervisors dedicated per 10 apprentice who train them and who ensure, wherever they lack, we train them, pull them up, and they're doing a good job. As far as you mentioned about degree apprenticeship, and I just want to add on to it, see, attrition rate and everything is there. If we just keep that aside, in terms of an individual benefit, if I see developing a manpower for the entire not just for the organization, or developing a manpower for, say, anybody to take or hire, it will definitely be a very good program. Why? Because it's just like, looking at a recipe and cooking it at the same time. So there is a difference. We just read the recipe and we think we can cook it. But here we are looking at the recipe and cooking it simultaneously. So when the employees are when the apprentices are already on the job, and, at the same time, they are, studying for their degree or the course which they have been enrolled in, especially with the benefit that they get from Teamlease, because I'm sure the benefit that they would get will be much more than what they would do regularly, apart from out of Teamlease. So that benefit is additional. And if Teamlease can offer the same benefit to them, even when they're out of apprentice program of any of the organization, that will add on a lot to your database, and plus you will get a skilled labor to further deploy them or employ them somewhere else.
So you're basically talking about creating for a complete industry, not specifically.
Of course, yes, not specifically for an employer. Yes.
Great. So I think then we I'll again take up the thing with Dr. Sanjeev. Dr. Sanjeev, any thought process which you put it to the ministry where you find that they should work on certain areas which can actually lead to enhancing the number of apprentices we have in India? I know you're very vocal about things. I'm sure you'll have some points which you can put it here, and then we take it up with the ministry.
Right. See, I think the ministry is doing good because they have some, the numbers in their mind in terms of, achieving their target for the skill development, what they have committed and when they came in the power. That the government target is there. But see, the program which has been run, I think that this could have been much more better, provided the awareness amongst the, the industry could have been much better in terms of the apprenticeship. Then I could have think that a lot of my more other CHROs could have taken this. So gradually, being in metro, we can understand, but still the people in the who are in the B cities or C cities or in manufacturing remote places, they may not be very much aware of these programs and not be taking the benefit of this. Simultaneously, see, there are cases where the reporting of the abuse of this process is also been done by the people to take the people. They are taking the people out of from their contract role and putting them on leaves and naps, which I feel it is totally unethical and unfair labor practices. Right. But as far as ministry is concerned, I personally believe that the government commits a lot of things in terms of paying incentivizing the employers by reimbursing the apprentice program in naps, but actually when it comes into terms of payment, it doesn't come so oftenly, right? So there are certain if and nots in that. So if you're really talking to ministry, you should say that, see, if you want the industry to come forward, then certainly there should be also a transparency in the reimbursements. The riders, what they have put in the reimbursement process, that needs to be simplified. See, the riders are that they have to work for three months minimum in the whole quarter. Secondly, is that basically there are little onboarding issues also, which we find the people which are coming in. A lot of people they are worked in apprentice in somewhere in one organization, and they left due to non-performance or any other reason. And when they go and deploy in other kind of an industry in same NIMS and NAPS program, they are facing issues in that. So that from the employee per se also needs to be addressed. That is what two cases I feel. Otherwise, I also feel that the TPA who have to play a very pivotal role in this to ensure that they are making a bridge between the employer and the government. I don't think Nandini and Anna must be knowing it. See, we were making the payment to the apprentices by our own portal, means by our own accounts. When recently I
number which you have,
I was not making it, but recently last 2 or 3 months I started doing it. This solved my 3 problems. One is that most of my claims got rejected because the UTR number that was not matching with the payment methods because due to some banking errors or something like that. But when I started doing through virtual gateway, I think my problem has got resolved. So I think that kind of an education has to be done. They should make it mandatory for the the employers to do the payment through virtual gateway only. So that will help in the expediting the reimbursement. That is
I think that is a thought process NSDC also, that everything should be digitized, by which you can reduce the manual activities, right? Finally, one thing which I like to know from you.
One more thing I wanted to add. I would also suggest that there has to be a kind of a joint committee of TPA and the industry and the government whenever the programs have been made. So the people from retail should also be a part of it, so that they can put their voice to the ministry that basically what is the pain, what we are feeling about. That means that a representation of the employers in the basically government decision making in terms of a forum who can give a suggestion or advice to them, if that is possible. If you
I
can
think
take
that makes a lot of sense. I think feedback from industry is where the option rate came into picture in 2015, because option rate was result of the feedback from the industry that they need they want to create their own curriculums and on respect to their job roles. We'll take it up with specific people, your thought process. One final thing from you, Dr. Sanjeev. You would like to highlight anything respect any apprentice where you feel that he has any good experience with an apprentice in Pepe Jeans? Anything you had put it to the audience? Somebody has done something great in terms of like anything you put it up.
See, I'll tell you one thing. Recently, we have taken somewhere around 50 to 60 apprentices on temp role, right? And also we have taken one apprentices on the role of the company as well, but the way he has grown and demonstrated his performance. So that totally depends, how you develop and build the people. The apprentice program, normally the people would normally be hired is basically we are hiring freshers gradually. But since my experience is that basically the employees who are working in these skills all are not good, because we do sometimes attrition also take place, but we don't encourage the habit of discontinuing the apprentice, particularly NAPS, because we don't want to go on the wrong side of law. We transfer that employee from that apprentice from one store to the another, maybe so he may be able to perform or train him. That is always our concern, and that is why I also say that don't discontinue any apprenticeship on bit of non-performance. See that sometimes in somewhere is not working. So we can try this, because we also have a responsibility towards the government and the employability objective of the government. But things, most of the apprentices are really doing very good. So we have recently awarded 3 apprentice trainees who really did well, remarkably in terms of sales, and they are one of our top performers in these sales also.
Great. Thank you so much for your input on this. I'll take up the final question with Nandini Mehta. What is your any input or anything you want to put it here, so which we can take it up to respective ministry, because we closely work with them as a representation of the industry. So anything you want to put it for apprenticeship or degree apprenticeship where you think that things need to change, things need to change faster. So anything you want to put it?
Sorry. So I think, we always, I think Sanjeev mentioned it in the beginning itself, that we always toggle between the NEEM and NAPS program. And, they are 2 different programs. So while both of them have their, distinct features, they are not one. So if an organization wants to implement, it becomes a little difficult. So I would recommend that we try and get these 2 programs together under one heading and have the benefits of both into one program, which would definitely help. And then, you can have a degree program and a regular program. So they can coexist, but NEEM and NAPS, I think, should be combined, and there should be a government notification clearly mentioning that, this program can be incorporated in all organizations, giving the CSR benefits. So basically taking the advantages of both and putting them into one program is what I would, urge the government to think about and help us as an organization. Yeah.
Great. So again, the same. Any apprentice where you find that any example you may give, some exceptional thing which they have done, maybe the first apprentice completing his OJT, anything they have gone beyond their KRAs or something.
So I think for us it's very nascent, Dhriti, here, because we've just started the whole program in Metro. So we will take some time before we could say that yes, we've got some amazing apprentices. But what I can say is that the business has come back with very positive feedback. We've not got them coming back and saying, no, this is not working for us, or the quality of people is not good. So at least in Metro, we haven't heard that so far, which is really good. In Landmark, we've had a lot of apprentices who moved into our payroll after completing their program successfully. And I will not, of course, have the numbers. I cannot rightfully share the numbers at this point in time, since I don't work with them anymore. But yeah, it's been a great success for us in Landmark.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I'll take up the same thing with Ms. Pathak. What is your any recommendation or anything you want to put it to government in terms of streamlining the apprenticeship program, or even the degree apprenticeship part of it? Anything you want to put it so that we can take this input of yours to the ministry?
Yep, I would just want to add in one thing here. More or less, Nandini and Sanjeev has added. I think the government has definitely set all the guidelines in terms of who to hire, how to hire, why to hire, and the terms and conditions. If the government can, the way we are sticking to it and we are following it, and we are definitely seeing benefits and other things, and we are extending the same benefit to other people by giving employment, etc. I would appreciate if the government can also stick to the reimbursement what they committed under the scheme. Because yes, even we have not received our reimbursement so far. It's been a year, and even a single quarter, the reimbursement is due.
Sure. I think ministry had some budget issues, but they are streamlining it. I think we're going forward that particular piece, so I think we'll get streamlined.
But then as far as the productivity etc. is concerned, we generally hire people under the apprenticeship program who have been placed in modern trade outlets, the GT and the MT. Further from there, they are being as a promotion, they come on roll as sales officers and sales representatives. So yes, around 30 to 40% of people have definitely moved in there in 6 months of time in our company. So that's a success ratio there.
Great. I think what we'll do, we'll reach out to you guys so that we can create case studies for the industry where those case studies can be a reference point for other organizations to take up apprenticeship, which is regular or degree apprenticeship, right? So we have a couple of questions. We'll take it up, and then if we cannot take up those questions, if questions are more, then I think we will put it to you guys, and once you give your input, we can put it to the audience through an email or through a. So there's a question. So maybe Dr. Sanjeev, you can take up this question. How can we encourage freshers to join apprenticeship? Can degree apprentice create an excitement to join industry-ready courses than conventional courses? So it's more about how you can excite someone. Okay, why don't you take degree apprenticeship instead of going for a regular BCom course? So I think this is a question from one of the audience.
See, what happens, a lot of youths do want to study, but their financial conditions are such in the family, they cannot afford the education charges, right? So the expenses are so high. So for those candidates, I think degree program is one of the best because they are earning also, and they are learning also. So both things are happening. So I personally feel that if you want to motivate them, you have to tell them that basically how they are going to benefit, and also motivate them that not merely taking up this program, they should ensure that they complete this program. Otherwise, if they don't complete the program, I think there are phase type of degrees also. In first case, you get a diploma, then you get PG in second year, and third year you get degree. But at least they should stay for 1 year in this program and educate this and take at least one diploma. I'll suggest that they should take degree, but they have to be motivated in this manner that they take up this program to complete this program at least for 1 year.
So you're talking about like a modular nature. Every 6 months they get a certification. 6 certifications lead to a degree which have a credit base, right? I think, yeah, makes sense. I think that is how you can.
And also, employer has to also feel that once they have to go for examination, they have to spare them with the paid leaves. Otherwise, they will not be encouraged. If you are going to deduct their leave, they'll skip their examinations. So certainly, for whatever the exam dates are there, they should spare them and give them paid kind of leaves so that they can give their exams and pass the examination.
Correct. So there's another
question. Also, just to add to what Sanjeev said, what happens is, the excitement is that whatever you are learning, like what Ina was mentioning, whatever you're learning, you're implementing that at work. So you're not learning something which you're not working for, right? So I think from that perspective, a degree apprentice becomes much useful to the employee as well, because he is or she is learning what she is working in. So it kind of correlates, right? So it will be more interesting for the individual as well.
Not like traditional BCom BA where you can become graduate, but you know what you're going to do when you join the industry. Right?
Absolutely.
So I think, Ms. Mehta, I request if you can take up this question. The employer sponsor the course fee always, or it will be like employee? So employee is basically apprentice. I think what he's trying to explain here.
So again, it depends on the organization. Sometimes the organization is willing to sponsor the program, sometimes not. So it is very, very organization specific is what I would like to say.
So what is your, in terms of how you're managing this in your organization, Metro, where the people are sponsoring themselves apprentices, or you are sponsoring some bit of the education fee?
We are sponsoring the fee, yes.
And that is becomes part of CSR?
Yes.
I think we'll take up one more question and then we wind up the session. So any of you can take this question. I think Ina got logged out because of network issue. So it's like, do degree apprenticeship receive stipend every month for 3 years? Any of you want to take up this question? So he want to know whether the degree apprentices will for 3 years they get a stipend every month.
Yeah, it's like it's their salary, right, for what they're working.
Yeah, it is stipend.
Yeah. We do pay them.
So they get stipend every month.
So in every way they are our employees, right? Once they come into the apprentice program and they join us as part of the organization, they are our employees. So they do get they're working with us. So obviously they would be paid for that. So that it's more than a stipend.
Okay. I think it's a great discussion. I think we have touched upon a lot of things from regular apprenticeship to degree apprenticeship part of it, CSR part of it, the initiative by the you guys which you have taken for so many years. Thank you so much once again taking out time for this discussion. We'll reach out to you so that we can create case studies as a reference point for industry, and whatever inputs you've given, definitely when we meet up the ministry people or the NSDC guys, we'll put forward your thought with respect to the challenges which you have faced, maybe with the SNAPS claim or digitization part of it. We'll take it up there.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much,
All
Vani.
right. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Take care. Bye bye.